Hello. I would like to begin this talk with the bad news, and it is that stress is bad for us. Most doctors will urge us to lessen stress in our life, and rightly so, because many of our physical and emotional problems are either caused by stress or worsened by stress. Stress can attack any part of the body and can also lead us into addiction and all kinds of problems in our relationships. We are familiar with the word stress because we hear it often. I like this definition. Stress is a condition or a feeling, experience, when a person perceives that demands exceed the personal and social resources that one is able to mobilize. This definition has an important subjective content. It's related to the perception that I have about the difficulties and the challenges that I encounter, and also about my ability to cope with them. It is about the demands put on me and my resources to handle them, as I see them. So there is always a sort of a threat or burden involved in stress, and my uncertainty about my ability to cope. Stress can lead to burnout. You heard the word, which saps my energy, even my sense of worth and accomplishment, and may detach me even from people by taking away my capacity for empathy with others, even with my family, with my close friends. So there is no doubt that stress is real bad news, and yet it is so present in our lives, especially in this pandemic time. There is, however, an upside of stress, as described by Kelly McGonigal, a health psychologist. Until a few years ago, she shared completely the common belief of practically everybody that stress is always bad. But she changed her mind when she came across some very important research findings. She realized that stress does not always undermine our health and kill us. Here are three such research findings. One first research, very extensive, involved about 30,000 people over the span of 8 years. Now, they were asked the following questions. First of all, how much stress is there in your life? Second question, do you believe that stress is harmful for you? And three, how many among you died over the past 8 years? The results were very surprising. Indeed, stress increased the risk of death by more than 40%. This is bad news. But with an important condition, stress kills you only if you believe that it is harmful for you. However, if you don't see stress as harmful, there is less risk of death than even with little stress. In a way, it's all in the mind. This was confirmed by another research in Harvard University, where people were tested under a highly stressful situation. One group was told that the various signs of stress, heart pounding, butterflies in the stomach, sweating hands, were all positive signs of energy to meet the challenge that they would encounter in the test. Lo and behold, even their physical response to stress changed, and they felt more confident and energetic during the test itself. The researchers also discovered that the pituitary glands secreted not only adrenaline for action, for energy, also oxytocin, the love, cuddle, and social instinct hormone. In other words, stress can increase not only our energy, but also our bonds with other people, and can even strengthen the heart instead of producing a heart attack. An amazing confirmation came on in another research, this time about 1,000 people, all adults, over a 1-year period. They were asked, again, 3 questions. First one, the same. How much stress is there in your life at the moment, during this past year? Second question, strange. How much time did you spend helping others? And the third question, as always, the awful question, how many among you died over the year? As always with stress, there is bad news, there's no doubt. Every major stressful event increased the risk of death by about 30% average. But this time again, there was good news related to stress. This risk did not happen for those who spend time caring for others. All we can say, caring increases resilience. This means that our reaction to stress is both in the mind and in the heart. If I don't see stress as harmful, and if I spend time helping and caring for others, stress gives me energy and resilience, and also strengthens my bonds with people. Now, in a different field of research, there is an amazing confirmation in the field of physiology with a lady who is not so well known, but she is a Nobel laureate. She got the Nobel Prize some years ago for the discovery she made about telomeres. The telomeres are the tips of our chromosomes, and they play a protective role for the chromosomes. As our cells keep on dividing to keep us alive and healthy, the telomeres get gradually worn out so that the cell deteriorates and dies. This is why we age and die. And Dr. Blackburn writes, telomere attrition is contributing to our risk of getting cardiovascular diseases, Alzheimer's, some cancers, diabetes, the very conditions that many die of. This gradual deterioration of the telomeres was supported by a research done with caregivers, with a social psychologist. The more stress, the shorter the telomeres. No, that's at the very depth of our physical being. However, there was an exception. Among the caregivers, there were some mothers who happened to be resilient to stress. And instead of seeing their situation as a burden, they took it as an invitation to love and to care. This very important finding led Dr. Blackburn to the conclusion, and I quote, "We have more control over this aging process than we could ever have imagined. We have power to change what is happening to our telomeres. Tightly knit communities, being in a marriage long-term, lifelong friendships, all improve telomere maintenance. And all this is telling us that I have the power to impact my telomeres and also the power to impact yours." So convergence from the field of physiology at the very depth of our physical being. Let me bring up now a third important convergence from another woman who has been in the different field of research, Emily Esfahani Smith. She claims that positive psychology should not focus so much on the quest for happiness, because her own research has led her to the conclusion that the search for meaning has more power than the quest for happiness. People who find meaning in life are more resilient, live longer, do better at work, and are also happier. That's what she found out in inquiring about, I don't know what number of people, but over the span of 4 to 5 years. What is most interesting and maybe helpful for us at the moment, especially in this, again, pandemic situation, is that she has identified what she calls 4 pillars of meaning, which she describes as belonging, purpose, transcendence, and storytelling. Brief description. Belonging is a relationship. It is essential for us to feel a sense of belonging, with family, with friends, with co-workers. It springs from love and gives us meaning. And the question is for us, where do I now feel this belonging in my life? The second pillar of meaning that she describes is the sense of purpose. What gives me something to live for and allows me to use my strengths, my talents, my gifts in the service of others? It is what keeps me going each new day, and it gives me another question for my own life. Where do I find meaning at present in my own life and also for the future? It speaks to the mind, the sense of meaning. The third pillar is transcendence, rooted not only in faith and spirituality, but in any experience that opens us to the beyond, that gives us inner peace, that reminds us that all is well, all will be well. It takes us out of the daily grind and gives us a sense of inner wisdom. It can be prayer, of course. It can be music. It can be poetry. It can be nature, yoga. It can be mindfulness. It can be any human experience that enriches the spirit. So again, the question is, for me now, do I have a sense of transcendence in my life at present? Or do I remain always caught up in my daily hassles and problems? What has, for me, the power to lift me up and strengthen my hope? And the last pillar is storytelling, which is important for my own psychology. It is the narrative now that I give of my life. When I look at my journey until now, when I look back, it is certainly made of good and bad moments, but I can always revisit my past journey with a feeling of acceptance, also of gratitude. Even the painful memories of my past, even the wounds that they may have undergone, they have given me glimpses of wisdom and hope, because in a way, evil can always find a way to good. This is what we call salvation, even through the cross. So my question is, am I grateful for my life until now? And do I believe that it will become better through grace and through love? And these 4 pillars may be a very good way for me to deal with stress in my life. So I hope you see in these 3 persons I have quoted, 3 ladies from around the world, and different fields of research and knowledge. I don't even know whether they know one another. Yes, there's no doubt, stress is a challenge, but it's also a gift. more than a curse that brings us to illness and to death. How stress affects us may depend very much on how we look at it and use it for caring and for the service of others. On the physical level, stress gives us hormones of energy and love to help us live a life of caring and meaning. It invites us also to see the brighter picture of grace in our lives and become people of hope, always of transcendence. Stressful events are unavoidable in our lives. That's very true. But harmful stress is avoidable. If we see in stress the very biology of courage and love. So even the telomeres, at the very tip of our cells, are happy when I find meaning in what I am invited to do. And I also believe that God is also happy for us when we enter this flow of life and grace with open minds and grateful hearts. Thank you.